Good. All right, I'm going to hit the record button over here on my end.
Sounds good.
All right. We did not plan an intro for this at all, so we're just going to roll with this.
Nope. This was kind of impromptu because stuff got busy over at your house, so we decided to just kind of do a podcast instead of commentate during the stream of Raw.
Which, quickly just to touch on, might actually be better overall, honestly, until we pick up more traction because we had no traction anyways.
Yeah.
And I was good with Raw. I enjoyed streaming during Raw, but I have about 2.5 hours of straight content, whereas you do not. And I understand that it lulls the same way I feel while watching SmackDown a lot of times. So I get it.
Yeah.
So this might be a better way to keep energy up and actually have more dialogue in a podcast form. Plus, this being less than a 3-hour scenario means that it goes up on Spotify a lot easier. I don't feel as bad cluttering up Spotify's servers with with a lot of dead air a lot of time.
Yeah.
So,
and with this, we'll actually have talking points, and even if we go off, sort of subject, we're not having dead air and
right, there's no
as hell.
Right. So, anyways, we got a lot to talk about. And jump right into that. I'm Matt. That's Ben. Also Matt, but we call him Ben. And we have a ton of shows because we just had the Lucha, as I'm calling it, WWE Lucha, which was the AAA show. And we had Money in the Bank. Yep, Worlds Collide. Then we had Money in the Bank. We just had SmackDown. Raw. And in between there, we had a UFC event that just happened as well that they were advertising because it's UFC 316. So, of course, they had to advertise it that way.
Yeah.
And make shirts.
Gotta sell some shirts, yeah.
Yeah. So there is a ton we could talk about. Also, on a side note, pretty sure Charlotte owns a horse and it's named Superman. And there's a Twitter thread that we don't really know what Liv posted on IG, but we're pretty sure it's a phallic object. Some people thought it was a dog toy, something. Either way, it's probably a gag gift because it was her birthday over the weekend as well. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on we could talk about. So where do you want to start?
Oh God, should we unwrap the great big ribbon that is the whole R-Truth saga?
I know you want to talk about it, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Holy crap, is there so much to go on. Like, until we got to this part tonight where he shows up, cuts his hair off and goes, "I'm Ron Killings.
Right.
Truth has set me free. I'm not just a gimmick."
Yep.
Looks like we might be seeing the badass Ron Killings from what was it, TNA?
Pretty much TNA, and his last, he was still pretty much a badass at some point in WWE as well. But then he went to TNA where he held the championship there, and he was more of a serious character. But I mean, he's always been fun, man. It's the truth. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm just hoping with what he kind of did there, he's not going to be like, well, I'm going to take away the fun now because they're paying me. Like, who knows? They might be like, well, we're going to start putting you in main event stuff because everybody wants to keep you. And, well, you need to earn that keep because now I can at least feel like he is officially back and they're keeping him. Because up until him showing up tonight and cutting his hair off, I was really kind of looking at it as, okay, yeah, they brought him back, and within a month he'll just be kind of phased out and gone, and the hype won't be there anymore.
You want my honest opinion? I think he gets phased out around the same time Cena leaves.
Okay.
So I think that's how this is going to go. I think they can afford to keep him if they want to keep him, but I feel like if they do want that, for whatever reason they want to let go of him, they run him in line with Cena, and as Cena leaves and Truth leaves at the same time, it's going to be, quietly. The giant shadow that Cena is going to cast as he leaves is going to, hide some of that other departure type of stuff in theory. They will not give him a massive push and then cut him again immediately. So dumb.
You say they won't, but this company.
Oh, they might. You're 100% right, but I think they've learned. I hope they've learned their lesson. again, it's two different people. Like Trips and them are not doing the budget cuts. It's usually the CFO. Maybe it's Khan, whoever. I don't know. I'm not part of the business. I don't know. But it's two different people. It's why people get cut middle storylines. See Aleister Black last time.
Yeah, it's.
But
I mean, we don't really know what's going on back there. I mean, as much as everyone speculates and tries to.
I would love if Trips just walked up and shook him. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why did you cut him now? Just shaking him in the back.
Yeah.
The backlash, you dumbass.
I mean, part of it might be where, they, like, I think you brought it up, like, where we were talking earlier in the week, where they just, like, give, like, a cut list, like, here's people we kind of think on the chopping block, and then give it to Triple H and go, like, you got to figure it out.
I don't even think it's that. I think they just cut without him there. I think that it's the budget. People in charge of the budget look at the talent and look at roster versus age versus where they have them mapped out. They might have, creative, I could imagine, says, hey, listen, we got a long-term plan with this guy. We got a long-term plan with this guy. We got a long-term plan with this guy. Please don't screw with them or give us a heads up. But when you're talking about, no offense to them, I love all of them. The LWO, you're talking about Aleister back then. They had a story going, but I'm sure it wasn't Mania bound type of story going with Aleister. These types of people, I think they do an algorithm or an equation that this makes sense financially for the business end of it, and they just go by that.
And poor Trips is just going like, yeah, okay, you cut my guy. We had plans for him this week. All right, rewrite the script.
Right, that could happen. But again, that's why I think they could probably, and I'm sure financials have enough common sense to go, well, Cody Rhodes isn't going to get cut tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I think a lot of the people that you'd consider mid or lower probably could be cut whenever there's a financial cut round, and then creative just has to work around it, period. I think enough changes has happened over time for me to feel like, yeah, that's how that goes. Whether it's Strowman getting knocked out of pictures or Aleister or whoever, when you clearly just started a storyline, lets me know that clearly there are some people that I don't say are untouchable, but they're not going to be touched, and everybody else, it's a cost analysis situation.
I imagine the writers are probably still used to it because it isn't that far away from the Vince McMahon era where, he was notorious for going like, I don't like this, rewrite it now. It's just like, dude, it's like 5 hours of showtime. Yeah, I know. Fucking rewrite it. I don't like it.
Right.
Like,
you got 5 hours. There you go. You just gave yourself your own deadline. You got 5 hours. Do it in 4. I want to check it before it goes live.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that I ain't got to make you guys rewrite it.
It better be good, because I think you're going to have an hour to rewrite it.
Yeah. You better really fucking fix it.
So
better be a goddamn savant.
So what do you think, though? Do you think Trips was being honest in his little media scrum, or do you think every other report on the planet is accurate? That he was cut and enough people just complained and they brought him back because it was the easiest way to save face?
I would love to believe Triple H. I wanted to at that point.
But I
don't. Especially with how R-Truth came out and go like, don't ever think your voices don't fucking matter, because they do. They heard you, and I'm friggin' back. So that alone kind of makes me go, okay, with everything else that was polar opposite of Triple H going like, you enjoying the show? Like, yeah, good way to use it, and just go like, I don't have to answer shit for this question. I just go, enjoying the show. It's all part of the show.
It can always be that blending of reality and the storyline that he could always fall back on every time.
I'll give him this. It became part of the show because the audience is a part of the show. They voice that so much. They're like, all right, well, let's get back here for a little bit. R-Truth, we got some money for you for a little bit. Let's ride this and do something with it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking I should have probably gone back to standing. I should have pulled the Pat McAfee and stood during the show, because I'm like, nothing looks posturally correct. Like, nothing has good posture for my back. And
I'm looking at yourself. You're fine.
Okay, we're gonna move on again here. We're gonna sweaty mess. It's awful. But no. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't believe Trips either. I'm glad he's back. I don't know what they do with him, but I'm glad he's back.
Um, I mean, after you run the thing with CM Punk, I don't know, do you run like a serious uh storyline with him against Cena and
I mean, I
just
I
angry
can't
as hell at
imagine.
him?
I
I don't
can't
know.
imagine with this few many shows left. The So if you look at it from like a real storytelling aspect, right? You're gonna have the arrival, the build. We had the turn, so that kind of like plateaued at like the build started again, but in a different way because now he's a bad guy. And you're gonna always have that penultimate episode of a show where that's when they want to do the big thing, and then you have the fallout from it. It's why trilogies kind of suck because the second movie has the oomph, and then the third movie is more of a the collateral, so to speak, of what's left. And I can't imagine personally with what they say like 17 more shows, 18 more shows left, that in a month or not even, Cena loses the belt to Punk. Then he has 10 more shows where he can't ruin wrestling because he doesn't have the belt. He can try to find a way to get back to the belt, but if he's wrestling Ron, how does he get back to the belt? I don't
Yeah.
understand. I just don't understand how they can work that together. And that's another reason why, unless the writers get their act together, I'm wondering how they're going to put Ron into this situation where it doesn't feel like they just shoved him in for the fans.
Yeah. True. I did kind of just think up something while you were coming up with your thoughts on this. Um, but the one thing to go back to before that is with how I feel like he's gonna do one more thing with Cena, like angry at Cena,
Oh,
partly
of course.
because the whole thing was him using what Cena said tonight and going like, I'm not a friggin' gimmick. Put some respect back on my name."
Oh, he's got to go after Cena. There's
Yeah.
no other logical explanation. You're right.
Okay. I I really don't think they're going to take the belt off Cena and put it on Punk. As soon as he came out there, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see how. What was it? He had the line like,
Oh,
I've
the
beaten the
wordplay was set up
best you
perfectly.
have, yeah, and
Yeah.
then best in the
Of course, the
world,
best in the
man,
world's music hits.
comes
Yeah.
out, yeah, but it made perfect sense. I'm like, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Um, but I don't think he's gonna do it. I don't think Ron Killings is gonna do it. What we just saw tonight, though, Jay dropping the title back to Gunther, that kind of just clicked in my head while you're explaining your thing. What if they end up having the ultimate get the belt off Cena with Jay doing it? He's dropped that belt. He ends up moving over and going after this one. Does
He
that make
could.
sense to
I don't know what.
to essentially give Jay more of the rub? Like, he's beaten Gunther, took his belt. He's beaten Cena, took his belt.
Right, but like the causation here, the the defunct logic. I can't think of the actual term for it here. The deductive logic that doesn't make sense here is then you just equate that Gunther is better than Cena because you if Jay loses to Gunther 2 out of 3 times or whatever it's been, and then Jay leaves to go to, I guess technically,
Well,
SmackDown in this case because he has to go to SmackDown because that's where that belt's technically at.
why wouldn't you build Gunther up as being better than Cena? Cena's going away. He kind of needs to give the rub to everyone else that's still here. It's
Because
kind of that passing of the torch in a sense.
yeah, but you don't want to pass it to Gunther. You want the person to pass him. You want it to be on them. And to me,
Well,
seeing that Jay has lost 2 out of 3 to Gunther, if I'm not mistaken, then against TV runs from Raw to SmackDown to deal with Jay
what
and to deal with John doesn't make much sense to me.
was this finally the rematch for Gunther from WrestleMania? There wasn't another one in there. Because
I don't think so.
I felt like he wrestled Gunther one other time, but maybe not.
I want to say they lost before Mania. Then he got the match again, won at Mania, and then just lost the rematch, I think.
Yeah, that first loss where he's like, "Oh, I know I can beat him." That was at that Saturday night main
Oh, that's
event
right. The
before
thing
the
where no
Rumble.
one changes belts. That's right. That one.
Yeah, that was the spot where we were kind of like we kind of wanted to have the moment
Because
there.
it makes Saturday night main event mean something. Still hasn't
Yeah.
meant anything.
Yeah, it hasn't meant dick. It's
So-
just like there's
so
some
he's-
wrestling to watch. Nothing's gonna happen, but you can watch it.
Right.
Okay.
You want to know what the only way now that I think about it makes any sense? Is that, and it doesn't make sense just yet, because Cena
Okay.
still is doing this by himself. He's cheating, but for the most part, he's doing it by himself.
Okay,
Travis
well,
Scott interfered.
I'm going with my theory from here. I'm almost
Okay.
thinking Jay's gonna take it off Cena in the long run.
I'm gonna. I don't know if I subscribe to that theory just yet, but I'm gonna add to that theory, and the only way it makes sense in my head.
Let's have different theories. Anyways, go on with yours.
Well, the only way that theory makes sense, I have to add a little bit of support to it, is that Cena somewhere along the way develops, his own mobster goon squad of his own, essentially. The Logan Pauls, so to speak, of the world. Maybe even Seth for now.
Yeah.
Whoever his buddies are, maybe The Rock does come back at some point. And the only way it makes sense for him to leave Raw and go to SmackDown and take that title off is if this continually mutual respect that Gunther keeps seemingly having on his face for Jay translates to Gunther showing up as part of Jay's backup out of surprise.
Oh, to actually defend Jay, you swing
Yes.
Gunther to a good guy, and then you have your bad guys another good guy champion
Right.
to go after.
Right. And it wouldn't even necessarily maybe be a good guy. Gunther could explain it the next night on Raw or whatever, that, he may not like the way, he may not understand or want to do it the way Jay does, but Jay's heart is in wrestling. And right now, obviously, he'd be, seen as the pompous asses whose heart is not in wrestling. He doesn't care about the sport. And as the ring general, that means more to him than, maybe not agreeing with the way Jay does it, but Jay does it his way, the right way. His heart's in it. And that's why Gunther would help back up Jay. But John needs to have some bad guys. Like, John has nobody to help him right now. He's just winning by kicking people in the balls.
Yeah.
It's like, that's all he's doing to help win. So, but if he does develop a squad at some point, because I have to imagine you can't even say that like Seth will stand in his way, because Seth, I'm assuming storyline wise, would still say that Jay is an easier opponent than John Cena, unless Seth wants to defeat Cena because of legacy or some nonsense. So that's the other problem we just talked about for the second before we hit record and go live here, is that Gunther's a bad guy technically, or heel. I'm sorry, my hat's covered over there.
Yeah, I got mine. Heel.
Yep. Cena's a heel right now, and then your guy with the briefcase is a heel, so to speak. So,
both your champions are heel, and your Money in the Bank champion is a heel, and it's like,
let's go for the ride, because I don't know what they do with this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know what they do with Gunther, because I don't know. Are they just going to go back and forth with Gunther and Jay? It's just
no. I think they may have to move on from that. You may be right, but it seems weird if you look at it on paper. Now, most fans aren't going to look at it that way. They're not going to focus on the 2 out of 3 losses to Gunther and then go, well, he can go beat John Cena out. They're going to just go along for the ride. But if you're really thinking about it from a psychology standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see 2 out of 3 losses, run to SmackDown, and then battle John Cena for that title. So that's why I say it would kind of help if there was a reason for Gunther to be the backup to Jay.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Jay does have reason to go after Cena, where he's done things like, wouldn't it be great if I walk out of here with my belt and that one's on the waist of a YouTuber?
We'll see if that happens. Those two kind of bickered at Money in the Bank, so maybe that's over. But man, that was a short storyline if that was the case.
And I mean, he did go over him in the Royal Rumble, so Jake kind of used that little chip on his shoulder to,
Right, that's what they're going to
mess
play
with
the video
Cena.
package back for sure. Is those two at the Rumble,
So
and going from there. So there's some basis to what you're saying. Don't get me wrong, but just the psychology in me goes, man, it looks like he just lost 2 out of 3 to Gunther, and then ran to SmackDown to take on the GOAT. Like it doesn't.
wow.
So,
Yeah.
but again, if in my opinion, Gunther for some reason shows up and like in his mind right now as the true champion, because he is kind of the longest reigning champion of champions in WWE. Like if you count his IC run, now with his world title run, it's like 85% of his damn career in WWE has held a belt. The man's luggage probably feels pretty light, like when he doesn't have one. Like he probably goes, "Oh, what the hell would I? Oh, I lost my belt. That's right. Damn, that's right. Okay, this is gonna be a cheaper bag." So yeah, that's they're gonna Gunther. That's great. I think Gunther's great to be built at this massive champion. He's the old school epitome of wrestling, with the stiffness and the size and his way he handles himself, and I think that's great.
So who
But
do
I
you
just
throw at Gunther?
Oh, next,
Yeah. I had a bit of idea since there's also, with the rumor mill going like Roman Reigns is making too much and not showing up enough.
right.
What about if you throw Roman at Gunther kind of out of nowhere? He just shows up again and starts being regular coming after
I mean,
him.
yeah. I mean, his part timeness came from. I don't know for sure if it started this way, but it feels this way that it started during the pandemic because of his health issues.
The leukemia.
Yeah. And then it was completely understandable. And then he did what he needed to do every pay per view, and he carried the company on, from that regard. And
Yeah.
but if it doesn't conflict with his health, I could see why they'd want him to show up more. I could. I mean, that's. But at the same time, then what does Seth say then? Because Seth has been, his whole gimmick has been, I've been here every day. Like I don't miss days.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, that could almost be a way where you get the belt on Seth is you have Roman battling Gunther, they destroy each other, and then Seth comes out and cashes in on Roman.
Yeah, I mean that to me still feels like the Mania match to me next year, Roman and Seth.
Well,
but I can't imagine it without a belt.
I mean, we got time to build to it. And like even Seth said, he can cash in anytime he wants. You can cash in at Mania. You just hold on to it.
I still, if Jay works, I guess. Don't get me wrong, but man, with whatever it is, like 18 or 19 dates left or whatever, they got to get moving on that storyline at least a little bit, in my opinion. Unless they want it to come out of nowhere. Unless they want it to be a surprise. But that's typically not how they do stuff with the main title. Usually there's a build.
Yeah. Do we got Cena SummerSlam yet? Like, has that anything for that been hashed out?
Not that they've been made notice. I mean, he's just going through one at a time, and so
yeah, the
Night of
CM
Champions
Punk one is Clash of Champions in Saudi.
Yep. So then usually what happens is he conquers that opponent, and then they, on the next night of Raw or whatever, they decide who his opponent after that is going to be.
Yeah.
Trips goes and grabs a body and pushes him out the entranceway, and that becomes the new opponent for the next time, the next pay-per-view.
Go get him, Speed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah. Oh my goodness.
You're next to die.
Right. So I don't know. I like your theory. I think there's a good chance of it. I just think Gunther needs to be involved. All these signs of respect, all these second guesses, all these looking over and glancing at Jay after the match has to mean something. Without it, I feel like it hurts Cena, if that makes sense. That Jay loses to him, loses to Gunther twice, and hops over and beats him. I don't know. It just seems off to me. Also, how long is Cody gonna hang out for? Because that's the initial thought is right that's Cody's gonna be the one who takes the belt back, right? I mean, he comes back, he saves the day. Then there's the tag match.
The Cody thing though just seems way too predictable and way too dull and just.
Does Jay wrestle Cody?
I mean, you wouldn't want to really turn either one of them right now. They're the two best people with the kids right now.
You're not wrong, but I'm just saying I could see that from a psychological standpoint more so than I could see anything else. Jay gets pissed because he's always been the good guy.
Well,
he just lost his belt because Cody signed him up for a tag match he wanted no part of.
I wouldn't want to do that to Jay right now. You kill all of it.
I wouldn't want to say I want to do it, but I'm just saying on paper, from a psychology standpoint, it makes more sense.
Hey, TKO, from a financial standpoint, don't do that shit. Bankrupt yourself.
Why? They'll make more money putting logos on things. You saw the future world title belt floating around on IG.
Oh God, that.
Yeah, ridiculous.
You put the Slim Jim logo on the back and break into a world championship.
Yeah, they weren't going to use any tables tonight, so they just put the logo smack dab in the middle of the ring.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
So what was as you're pushing into a half hour into this, it's going to be interesting. You know what's going to have to happen is you have to flesh out what's going to happen with Ron Killings at this point. And then they can kind of figure out what happens next with Jay. And they got time.
Yeah.
They can build a reason for Jay to go to John soon because meanwhile John's storyline is involving CM Punk right now. And it will for the next 2-3 weeks essentially.
Yeah.
So they have time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. They could work things out. They just gotta. I think they do got to figure out where they're going to put Ron at this point, though. I think that was a last-minute addition. So let's see what they do with him, puzzle piece-wise. I think the rest will take care of itself after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could be doing with Ron is just keep having him interfere with John Cena's matches, almost costing him the belt, like getting kind of close, but somehow pulling it out by being a heel and doing, punching people in the balls.
Right, but the problem is that again they got to figure out something because Cena's racking up a line of competitors that he's beat that by cheating that are just disappearing typically. But now they can't do that with Ron. Ron's back now.
Yeah,
I mean Randy disappeared after losing, and he can be gone for a little bit. And Cody disappeared after he beat Cody. So that's been the trend. But now they couldn't disappear. Ron came back because the people had one in the back. So now it's just like, well, what do we do? So I'm curious that's got to work itself out, I think, before I can make any educated guesses on what I actually think will happen next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we'll also have to see how Jay responds to getting beat by Gunther. Does he end up going like, not letting it go, and we're just like, oh God, you're gonna wrestle Gunther more.
Problem is that I can't see him. I mean, all right, that's Raw. Who else can go for the belt over there? Oh. So, Sammy wins King of the Ring. Sammy gets match against Gunther. Sammy battles Gunther for the belt, but Seth has the briefcase, so at some point Seth will cash in, and whether essentially somehow, way or shape or form, that tension that's been with Sammy and Seth since Seth told Sammy to leave will come to a head with that.
All right, so Sammy takes care of Gunther.
Presumably, there's going to be
Seth
some back and forth. The title is going to end up here. There's going to be a fake cash in there. That all that stuff to build drama, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's That's what I think's happening with that title. I think that title is becoming the Seth, Sammy, Gunther title. At least now through at least SummerSlam.
And if they would move Jay over, that would free up that to not get complicated with Sammy and Jay.
Right. Now the question so here's what you could do then. If they're going to move him over, then you just do like all champions have been doing lately, and you just disappear for a minute. So maybe he doesn't come back until SummerSlam.
Oh, like Jay takes a little bit of a break.
Just takes the time off. You run the gauntlet with CM Punk this month. You pick someone for the July pay-per-view. And then somewhere right around SummerSlam, the beginning of August, that's when Jay comes back, and then you start your push Jay versus Cena at that point.
Really interesting that Jay came out with his kid to go through all that, yeet it up, go through the crowd, and then be like, I'm dropping the belt.
Right. Well, more sympathy.
But
kid was there. Kid was over the barricade by his dad at the end.
Jay is talking about that's a son that wants to get into this. He's just like he wants in. He's interested.
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's not to surprise me though.
That was on Stephanie's show where they're
gotta watch those episodes.
Where
they all look good.
They're on the Bloodline yacht with like all of them and Paul Heyman, and she brings up the question and just like, any of your kids interested? I think Jacob Fatu said some of his girls are interested, and Jay's like, mine is very wants in. He's sold. And it's the one you keep seeing. We saw him at WrestleMania, and we saw him tonight. So
yep,
makes sense.
Yeah,
but
oh boy. So what else over this weekend did you want to talk about?
I mean, Worlds Collide was a blast. They want to promote the shit out of Mr. Iguana. As soon as I saw him too, I'm like, that's who I latched on to too. I'm like, it is fucking a bit wild and silly at the same time. It's great.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I mean, if you're going to stand out amongst all the other luchadors, that's a way to do it.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Be completely different.
I mean, yeah, it's a tried and true method. There was I can't think of who it was in New Japan who had the cat. One of them brought a stuffed cat to the ring, and the cat would sit on top of the turnbuckle post and stuff like that during the matches, but I can't think of who it was.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it's a tried and true method, and he's entertaining. He really is. I think his shirts just skyrocketed because all of the AAA main people's shirts got on the store. I don't know if they're still there or not, but
I think that's one of the reasons. Like, if you didn't know Penta before he made it to WWE here, that was partly why he was so noticeable. Was his look, the whole thing with the mask and how he paints up the face and the contact lenses. It's such a wild, cool look that you really don't forget it. Like,
no, but I mean,
like, once I started to notice him, like, it was impossible not to after that.
See, the funny part to me is that, like, I've seen him forever. I watched the other brands. I watched Lucha Underground, where he is and where he was. So I've been watching him since like 2015 or whatever it is, 14.
I've been seeing him for quite a while, but that, I mean,
yeah, you say that, but I look at him and go, La Parka.
Well, that's the thing. In a way, La Parka stood out to me in a way because not a little bit his look, but just what he was doing was like completely different. I mean, sometimes even entrances are what makes you remember someone to stand out.
True.
And I mean, La Parka just stood out with doing his little fucking knee shimmies with the chair and playing air guitar on the chair and headbanging. I mean,
yep. Mr. Iguana shirts are still on the website. All the AAA ones are still here. Psycho Clown, Aerostar, Octagon.
Oh, hell.
Vikingo.
I'll look later when we're not doing that.
Laredo Kid.
Recorded podcast.
I might want a Laredo Kid shirt.
Yeah.
I have a Laredo Kid mask. I might want to add a shirt. That was my takeaway from that. I'm like, dude, I remember watching him and uh, Ethan Page in a gym 9 years ago or 8 years ago when I first started going to indie shows.
Yeah.
He was at that. I remember him having masks for sale. I own one in one of the boxes I have packed up right now. I remember Adam Cole sliding in wearing a Laredo Kid mask to super kick Swoggle, I think. I think that was the Swoggle versus Britt Baker match. At the time they were dating at that time. He slid in to super kick someone to help Britt win the match. Because I was like, Lucha Cole, fantastic. Because he wasn't actually on that show as an appearance. He was just hanging out. So like, but you could tell it was Cole. You could tell he's got a very distinct build. You can tell it was Cole. So yeah, it was really cool to see Ethan Page and Laredo Kid in that match on a WWE platform. It's also really cool to watch a show that didn't have Slim Jim ads on the table. That made me feel good.
I also kind of like the show too, in a way, because of their. Yeah, I like WWE's production value, but also I like seeing other lower amount of production value. I also like to see how their lighting was different. It's lit differently.
Yeah,
because of what they just how
watch the
they
other
do it.
brand on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I probably should do that
because it's a lot like what you speak of.
Yeah,
still probably better in-ring performances if you want my honest opinion. I think between Ospreay and some of the talent they have there.
I almost feel like I need to give up NXT for just a little bit because everything I was interested in NXT
got cut.
It was pretty much cut or moved up.
Yeah.
And maybe I should trade off with watching a little bit of the other brands. So it's just like, okay, I'm seeing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I took a week off after they cut my entire women's division I liked.
Yeah, I didn't watch last week after everyone got called up and all the cuts. I'm just like, what do I even want to go over there and see? And I hate to be that way in a way because all those people are trying to make
There's very good talent there. I like the women. There's still plenty of good women there. Thea Hale and Connie Jordan and all were very good. Don't get me wrong. And then on the men's side, I'm a big fan of Wes Lee. That hasn't changed. Javon Evans is very good. I can't imagine Obi's gonna be down there much longer, but Obi is still running around down there. Ethan, we love Ethan, but I can't imagine Ethan's gonna be down there much longer. He is definitely like the grandpa of the show. No offense to him, but
yeah,
I don't think anybody else on that roster is above 30 or above 27 even, and he's 35 or something like that.
I can't believe they didn't move up a Femi when they had that
seemingly the first
chance they were going to. I'm just like
yeah.
That seemed like that was it, and now it almost like I don't know if it killed his momentum, but I don't think it helped it.
I can't imagine it helped it either. I mean, they gave him. He went from the mid title to the main title on NXT, but I don't think it helped any. I think we should touch on it as we hit the 40-minute mark here, at least a little bit. But
yeah,
the women's ladder match and having Naomi come away with the belt. Not the belt, but the title and the briefcase, the thing that will probably go on cash on to win the damn title.
Yeah, that's really kind of a really important one to talk about because I don't think any of us were really going to predict that.
No, I would have said it had a chance, but it definitely would have been further down my list.
Well, pretty much with the 6 women in there, I'd say they all have a chance because, I mean, not a single one of them can I think is just like, no, why would they ever want to do anything with that one? Yeah, no, they're all phenomenal, but
right.
It definitely crushed the predictions that a lot of people had that they were just going to put the rocket ship straight on Stephanie Vakir and just be like, you're just going. So,
see, this is a different thing that you can. Here's character-wise, I think it makes sense because Vakir has been a workaholic, and you can still put a rocket ship on a workaholic. You can do that. I mean, Liv, to be fair to her credit, when she first was on her rise here with Rhea, they were working everything. She was going everywhere. NXT, this show, that show, everything. You can do that for Kira for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, character-wise, you got the edgy, suddenly kind of dark Naomi running around. Everything's got razor blades. Everything's all sharp. Everything's all like she's out to make people pay, and she wants to sing. And that's the thing she can do now. She can hang back, but she's still a threat at any given time because she has this briefcase. Yeah, so she instantly has credibility without even having to do anything, which just kind of fits that heel character better.
Yeah, she's just that looming wild card that can be at every.
She can continue to act batshit crazy all she wants to.
Yeah,
and she has that trump card in her back pocket, that ace in her upper sleeve with that briefcase.
She might not even be there to cash in. She might just clobber you with the briefcase, ruin your match, and leave. She will probably beat
down Jade with the briefcase at least 2 or 3 times for no apparent reason other than she has a briefcase.
I have a briefcase now.
Yeah, I carry a weapon with me. I'm allowed to. So from that standpoint, it makes sense. I don't know who she cashes in on currently, though. That part doesn't make sense to me yet.
I don't,
because you have Tiffy and you got
I'm like blinking on that. Yeah, Tiffy and
Io.
Yeah.
Neither one really makes sense for her storyline wise, so they're gonna have to either start something new, or pretty much start something new, because there's not much you can do with that, because there's no anger anywhere previously with either of these two champions.
Yeah. I don't know what you do there.
I mean, you got time. It's probably going to be a case where the men's side cashes in well before the women's side. The women can just run it for as long as they need to until the storylines make sense.
I almost wonder if you just run her against Tiffy time and just have this like just a kind of like continue with like sort of a jealous psycho woman just coming after her and just coming up with some reason that like she doesn't deserve it.
I feel like Naomi Bianca at some point makes more sense. Now you got to wait for Bianca's finger to turn back into a finger again. She's been showing stuff on her Instagram of her like this like steamroller for her finger to like roll it back into place and stuff she's using for therapy. She jacked that finger up, apparently.
Okay.
But seeing her come in,
she takes it from
the
group of women going for like what the championship that EO now has right now, because that was all that back and forth.
Right. Or I think she's on... Is she on SmackDown? I think she's on SmackDown. So maybe Tiffy. She takes it from Tiffy. Because that 2 by itself right there is a good match. Bianca and Tiffy can put on a good match too.
Yeah.
So you build that rivalry up. You let... maybe somehow you sneak in a real quick title shot for Jade. Just somewhere in there. And then Naomi gets involved, messes that up. Eventually Bianca wins her title.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but at some point, someone on the women's side is going to have to fail a cash in. I hate to be for Naomi to have it be her fail it, but if she has a hell of a match against Bianca, that still is a great performance either way.
Yeah, but if it's her cash in gets interrupted by Jade when she's trying to cash in on Bianca.
Well, I think Jade's going to run interference no matter what. I think that's going to be someone that, maybe she gets a title shot randomly. Naomi messes it up. Naomi comes down to try to cash in. Jade comes and makes the save somewhere along the way. I think that's going to be, because that's got to be, you got 3 women there that really haven't settled that feud in any way, shape, or form. Bianca, Jade, and Naomi. Naomi can be mad at Bianca because she feels abandoned. Jade is obviously pissed at Naomi because of... throwing her onto a windshield of a car, apparently.
Yeah,
and none of that
killer.
Yeah, none of that seems all that resolved to me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So
Um, but does Bianca end up wanting to go after that same title she was in, like the 3-way dance with Io and Rhea? Like,
right now, I mean, it depends on where she comes back at. If she comes
yeah,
back in Raw, then yes. But I think she's gonna have a clear shot if she wants to on Raw because clearly it looks like after tonight that I'm adjusting my vibes just a little bit. I should have done that earlier. It went down zero point 0.2 decibels like earlier. Anyways, it looks like Raquel and Mommy are gonna go at it. That was like the prelude to that tonight when she dragged her out.
yeah,
Um, Liv looks like she's setting up to face Nikki Bella at Evolution in a couple months. With the way that laid out in the ring tonight. And obviously tag matches here and there. Roxanne looks like she's primed to maybe go after the Queen of the Ring. I don't know what Becky's doing with the IC title. I think eventually Bayley takes it off of her. So yeah, I could see when Bianca comes back, she gets not a straightaway shot at it, but a much quicker shot than people might think. Because they're seeming to be setting up storylines for every other woman in the division. Who am I forgetting about? Oh, poor my poor pirate just keeps getting the short end of the stick on every opportunity she gets.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of seeming like they're just throwing her back in to get her back into the swing of everything. Kind of, it seems like she's just in there to be working in a way, like kind of like be. I hate to say it, but almost like a extra in the storylines.
They all have to do it for a little while because everyone
Yeah.
everyone gets their turn. I think another problem you have is if you push her, where does she end up? You can't push her to the top because then you have the friends wrestling. You have
Yeah.
Io and so they need to. I think eventually she will make a run at the IC title, but I think they got to play out the Becky Bayley storyline first.
Yeah, because they're still announcing those two as representing Damage Control, even though that
Right.
stable hasn't been a thing really for like 3 months or longer.
Yeah.
It was like
But
this winter.
yeah, so I think that's really what's going on there. I think they can't. So they put her in there with all the top women right now because she can roll with them and it goes well. But typically, but I think eventually they're going to need to move her over to the IC division as the IC title whenever they can, whenever this Becky Bayley storyline is done playing out.
Yeah.
Besides that, I have to throw out there, I think the coolest thing of the whole weekend was, as much as I hate to say it, it pains me literally to say this.
Okay.
The freaking Logan Paul superplex holding the freaking drone.
Yeah, the superplex was good. The Uso splash, not so much. You just could tell, like, oh, he got hit. And
Oh, it was cool because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The chaos. But he did a good job protecting the drone too as he got suplexed. Like,
and also not losing the drone in any way.
Right.
And he held that arm stable enough to tell what happened. It didn't just like, he didn't hit the mat and it just went, all over the place.
He did a good job with that shot. He really did.
Yeah. That's got to be hard to hold that shot while getting fucking superplexed. Because goddamn.
Maybe a little bit of luck in there too, I'll say, but I think overall just the idea of doing it and then pulling it off, kudos, man.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but kudos.
Yeah, that's a big commitment to take that bump and like, hey, hold on to that fucking thing.
I mean, I think in his mind, honestly, I don't know how much it was planned out. I have to mention it was somewhat planned out, but you know damn well what's going through his head is this would look cool. Whatever happened, but the initial thought was this would look cool.
I mean, they didn't cut away from it. That had to be planned.
Right. So, I mean, I'm assuming he went up the trips and he's been doing the drone catch thing for a couple episodes of Raw now or whatever. So I have to imagine what the trips have been like. What if we do a move where I'm holding it? And then that they had a workshop. What move makes the most sense and how it would go down? And man, he nailed the execution of it. No doubt about it, he nailed that. So
yeah, the superplex works really well because you're gonna have your arm out as to kind of
brace for impact the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, break your fall basically, like they do. In
plus, it's a front flip, and it's a front flip you're help being guided by. So it's probably the most controlled top rope maneuver that can be done to you with it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was definitely my move. In a weekend of 630s to standing people and stuff like that, the superplex was still my move because of the drone aspect.
Yeah.
Move of the weekend for sure.
That was a good shot.
So, but Vikingo killed it. Good to see him do well. Saw him wrestle locally here last August. Glad to see him getting a lot of love. It's going to be interesting to see him work with the people he's working with. I know on the local indie scenes that he's been hitting, he was working with one base most of the time. He would wrestle a lot of places with Gringo Loco, also known as Base God.
Okay.
And when you have the name like Base God, it's because obviously you are good at what you need to do for the luchadors around you. You are going to make the catches. You're going to be the support they need.
Yeah.
And Gringo Loco is the best in the indie scene on that, almost hands down. That's how you get the nickname Base God. So, be interesting to see him work matches more consistently with talent that's not Gringo Loco. He can do it, don't get me wrong, but I think there'll be an element like there was about 3 moves that Vikingo usually does in matches he did not do, and I think part of it may have been not being familiar with Chad Gable. I think it's that simple.
Yeah.
But what they did do was fantastic. That 630 to the standing Chad Gable was just insane.
Yeah. Everything those two did together was pretty
Chad's
awesome.
being the unsung hero of WWE right now. No one wants to talk about it, but the man's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's the workhorse. You don't see it, but he's literally on every commercial break on Raw in one form or another. He is coming out either to the crowd, he's in a segment, he's El Grande, Americano. He's in almost every commercial break. He wrestled
that.
two shows on Saturday. He is just everywhere. So insanely talented dude.
Apparently Stephanie Vakir did like 3.
Yep, she did SmackDown, like the AAA show, and then Money in the Bank. Yep, she's working her ass off too, which is why I said she's been the workhorse so far. Which is like, you don't need the Money in the Bank briefcase if they let you work that many shows, and then they give you the TV time, but then you also capitalize on the TV time. They can give it to you and you can suck and it won't work, but they give it to you and you capitalize on it. You don't need a briefcase for the title. You can just get stardom without it. So we saw how popular Jay was without a title for so long.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think they're gonna do with her.
That might be a thing with Jay where it's perhaps better to have him chase a title rather than hold a title. Seems like it.
I agree with that.
Eventually he needs to get the title and hold it for a little bit, but essentially he's better to be.
He's a better underdog
to chase.
He's a much better underdog all the way through.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's partly why like Stone Cold would like lose the belt enough times too, where it's just like, okay, yeah, it's good to have him just hold it and kick ass, but he also needs to chase people for it too. He needs to get screwed by Vince McMahon and chase.
Yeah, that was always the case with him. It wasn't ever a fair loss, but it was a loss nonetheless.
Yeah, it was some sort of bullshit.
There was
stipulation.
Chicanery. There were shenanigans. Yeah.
So. But yeah, it's just kind of a bit of a trope in wrestling. Some people are better at just holding the belt, and some are better at chasing it. And you gotta go with your folks that are it's just their strong suits. Makes for a better storyline.
Being that popular with the fan base and holding the belt is a tough combination.
Yeah.
Usually you're the ones chasing if you're that popular with the fans.
Yeah.
Because that's who they want to relate to. They don't relate to Gunther. They relate to Jay.
Yeah.
So, makes all the sense in the world. But any other thoughts on this weekend of an insane amount of wrestling?
I want to see more AAA. That's for sure. I might just re-watch that one just late at night when I'm bored one of these nights throughout the week, just because
You started to watch
I
Lucha
really
Underground,
enjoyed
I think. Right?
it.
That's the show from 2015.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of that
Yeah,
because
you gotta find that.
I didn't have a way to watch it. They're just like, it's on this channel. I'm like, I don't get that one. I
On
had to
the
tell
El Rey network at the time.
I had to tell Luchasaurus that when I met him when he was in the Cleveland area, and just like, I love your mash of wrestling and your gimmick here. Like that's spot on for me. It's just like, well, we're just on this. I'm like, I know I don't have a way to watch that here. He's
I was
like,
watching
oh
it.
man.
I saw it, but yeah, Luchasaurus was.
He was he was bummed for me. He's just like, oh yeah, that kind of sucks.
I mean, he had to realize not everybody at the El Rey network. Okay,
Yeah,
it was a pretty obscure network to be on, but you would see if you watched it, just so many of the wrestlers. A lot of them were lucha based, so like they had masks on. But Chelsea Green was there, Io Sky was there, Penta was there, um, Johnny Mundo was there. I mean, the list is just insanely long.
yeah.
Some of
I
them are
believe it.
over in the other brand right now. Brian Cage, Swerve was Killshot there, Angelico, Jack Evans.
Well, they all got spread out and find their spots.
Yep.
Because I mean, being on a
Rey
network
Mysterio,
that
Conan were both there, and Lucha Underground as well.
yeah, I remember at least that part. Even though I didn't get to see it, I knew of that.
It was a fun show because it's scripted too. So like, there was outlandish storylines going on in the background. There was two police officers trying to infiltrate the temple. The main dude of the temple was trying to do some ritual thing. There's just a bunch of like TV-esque style storylines going on at the same time as incredible wrestling also. So
yeah.
I actually want to buy those. I'm afraid that WWE is going to buy the series if they haven't already. Right now, if I go buy it off Apple TV or something like that, at least I'll have it. It might be taken off of Apple TV, but I think if I buy it first, I'll have it.
No, they don't have any way to get
I don't
that
think they have
on.
a physical form to buy. I don't see that. If you go on Amazon stuff, you can find people who have burned it, essentially, and buy that have a physical copy of it. But if you want to buy a legit one, I don't think a legitimate physical copy is out there. So
Damn.
yeah, I'd totally own it.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it. I mean, there's plenty more we could talk about. Again, Charlotte riding horses, Liv's birthday, the yacht party that happened for Natty's birthday party.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of stuff on social.
I also only wanted to go about 45 minutes, and we're going an hour. So,
I said 45 minutes to an hour tops. So we're at the top end of it.
Well, then maybe we ought to wrap it up.
So, yep. Maybe you'll check out some Dynamite this weekend or this Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we'll obviously be watching SmackDown, and we'll get back to you. And if either we will stream live again on next Monday, or we'll do something like this again.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Until then, I guess